Inside the courtroom, as the clerk read out her verdict, we could see the victims' families going, yes, yes, after every count of guilty.
And you could see as we walk through her house, this place is down to the 2x4s and the cinder blocks. That's all that's left around here.
If you want the candy like Josh does, Smokey here is no Dalmatian at the firehouse.
From seedlings to full-grown plants, these inmates harvest about 500 pounds of lettuce each week. It's strikingly similar to this report, released over 20 years ago. It's when people get exhausted from fighting it that they get pulled under the water.
Some homes are somehow still standing. Others are just decimated.
Coming back, there really wasn't very many. I'm going to put my hood up here as this rain starts to come in again.
I was out here about 3 a.m. this morning, and the water at that point was up to my hips.
3 times in 6 months. As they say in baseball, this guy struck out.
Like this $61 million that was
returned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Kelly, he was more civil in my 20 minutes with him than I had ever seen Joseph Zeiler be in court. As you'd expect, he went down the rabbit hole of I didn't do this or I didn't do that. But what we learned from this conversation and putting together this story may surprise you.
23 minutes via video visitation. That's the time we got with convicted Cape Coral killer Joseph Zeiler.
I'm going to take out my keys so I can talk.
The 61-year-old man will be transferred to death row this week after a jury unanimously convicted him of killing Robin Cornell and Lisa Story back in 1990.
It's going to be overturned the minute that I get post-conviction DNA testing. I'm confident of that because I know where I've been. I ain't been there.
The trial was tense, filled with middle fingers, evil glares, elbow jabs, and a mouthpiece signed killer.
And the reason I did it, too, is because I wanted to go to death row. I wanted to because the reason for that is on death row, you get all your attorneys for your post-conviction for free. You get the best attorneys in the country.
The reasonable doubt ship has sailed for him.
Jan Cornell is Robin's mom. She's the one who found the girls raped and murdered all those years ago.
He said he thinks that he will be cleared of this.
What about the DNA? What about all the actual science that was proven beyond a reasonable doubt by the scientific experts that that DNA could only belong to that man?
Forensics proved the chances of the DNA being anyone but Zeiler, 1 in 83 quintillion. That's 18 zeros.
How do you fight that DNA statistic?
Let me tell you the difference. There was no victim DNA in the sample. Yes, it identified me as being in the apartment, but it wasn't mixed with Robin Cornell or Lisa Story.
He doesn't take responsibility for anything. I never heard him take responsibility for anything during this trial, any of his behavior. If you were an innocent man, first of all, how do you explain away the DNA that was in every orifice of their bodies? How do you explain that? Who framed him? How did that? I mean...
It's clear that Zeiler will never confess.
Did you kill Robin and Lisa?
Absolutely not.
Do you feel any remorse for the whole situation?
Absolutely not. I have nothing to feel remorseful for.
So are you nervous heading off to death row this week?
No, absolutely not. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting to the next step of this, and it's going to be overturned, and I'm going to walk out of death row a free man.
He may put on an act that he's an innocent man. Jurors decided otherwise. At the end of the day, that's enough for Jan Cornell.
When I say closure, that's a word I absolutely hate, because you never... Closure. Closure means it's shut. It's going to bring peace, because that's all you can take from this.
She spent 33 years waiting for this moment.
It's never going to close the fact of I know what he did to them. I'm never going to be able to close that in my mind and close that in my heart, that their last minutes on this earth were that. The death penalty is really the only thing that can give me any peace in knowing that he'll never be free. Never be free to hurt his family, to hurt my family, my friends, or anyone else in this community.
Gun Gunshots mean go in this active shooter training scenario. You see the suspect dressed in a black mask and firefighter's coat. That's when the first responders come in.
Our primary responsibility is to go to the person that is shooting and take care of that situation as promptly as possible.
Today, deputies and police are one and the same, making sure the threat is eliminated.
Police department, make entry.
And any victims are rescued.
Okay, two on the front, we're going out.
This scene in an abandoned office building may be made up, but it's a situation too real in many parts of the country, which is why training is essential.
There's over 300 active shooter incidents across the country each year at this time, so the likelihood of it happening in any of our communities is very high, unfortunately.
So again and again, this group runs the scenario.
We're mainly there to save lives.
Sometimes it's one responder, sometimes it's a team from various agencies. That's why all of DeSoto County's public safety folks are here today.
The last thing you want to do is to try to come together under a real event and try to do something that's extremely difficult. Without training prior to, it's almost impossible.
Let's hope these guys never have to put their skills to the test. But in case they do, now you know they're ready. I'm local in Arcadia. Samantha Serbin, NBC2. Well, the streets are cleaned up pretty much, but the homes, they're still a wreck. Much different story than what we're looking on the actual roads. For many, it's a reminder of what the tornado did this time last year, but the records we're looking at now actually is attributed to Ian. Silence fills the streets of Century 21. The roads empty. Not a soul in sight until a biker rides by.
Since the storm, it's deserted in here.
Joe DiGiovanni rides his bike around here 4 or 5 times a week, seeing life stopped in a single moment.
It's just like a bad omen, bad luck. I mean, the tornado, you clean up after that, and then boom, Ian hits, and I don't know what the windup is going to be, because most of these homes in here look like they're not really repairable. Since the hurricane, I ride through here 3-4 times, at least 3-4 times a week. The most you see is somebody just carrying some stuff out and putting it in the trunk of their car and going.
One of those somebodies is Kathleen Mitchell.
Yes, we were here for the tornado. It sounded like a freight train, and the bedroom I was in was under the carport at the time, and then all of a sudden it was bright white because the carport was gone.
Michelle Carno was visiting her mom here in Southwest Florida a year ago today, when the tornado gave this community its first glimpse at disaster.
I thought, by now, all the tornado damage would be repaired and I'd have my beautiful home again in a community I loved. And instead, it's all gone.
To Mitchell's surprise, one major storm wasn't enough. During Hurricane Ian, her daughter was 1,200 miles away, waiting on a text.
She's fine. She's alive. That's all I know.
That's all that matters.
That is absolutely all that matters.
Her mom's all right, but Mitchell's community and way of life?
No, I never expected anything that would just, demolish not only my home, but the whole community. 320 homes. Just unlivable. June 19th is the date when everyone has to be gone, and you either turn your title over to the landowners or, somebody's got to remove your house.
Mitchell says most people have given up, left their mementos, and hit the open road. She's saving what she can before a bulldozer comes and knocks down the community she's loved for more than a decade.